Vice President Harris infused Democrats with optimism as the 2024 election cycle heads for the home stretch. There was real concern that a continued campaign by President Biden might suppress Democratic turnout. That would damage an opportunity by Democrats to reclaim the House and even hold the Senate. Fundraising for House Democrats soared, especially in July. House Democrats were already leading their Republican counterparts at the end of June. The GOP brass implored rank-and-file Republican members to bolster their money game. Leaders requested Republicans to cough up cash to help safeguard the GOP majority. It was a great response. Everyone stepped up. "We had a number of people pledge more money to the committee," said Representative Richard Hudson, RNC, head of the National Republican Congressional Committee, NRCC. "We don't have to match them, but we've got to be in the game." Democrats must only flip a handful of seats to gain control of the House. California and New York are ripe for Democrats to win seats. But they must also preserve vulnerable Democrats in red or battleground districts. Think Reps. Mary Peltola, D. Alaska, and Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, D. Wash.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office said they would not oppose former President Donald Trump's request to push his sentencing date for his hush money conviction until after the November election, leaving the decision up to New York Supreme Court Judge Juan Merchan. The people defer to the court on the appropriate post-trial schedule that allows for adequate time to adjudicate defendant's motion while also pronouncing sentence without reasonable delay, the letter addressed to Merchan and dated Alkinoren 16 states. The letter, signed by Bragg's assistant district attorneys, including Matthew Colangelo, a former Biden Justice Department official, was made public on Monday. In a letter of their own made public on Thursday, Trump lawyers Todd Blanche and Emil Bove suggested that sentencing Trump as scheduled on September 18, about 7 weeks before Election Day, would amount to election interference. They requested to delay the September 18 sentencing in New York versus Trump until after the election. The lawyers for the former president and current Republican nominee wrote that a delay would also allow Trump time to weigh next steps after Merchan is expected to rule September 16 on the defense's request to overturn the verdict and dismiss the case because of the U.S. Supreme Court's July presidential immunity ruling, arguing there is no basis for continuing to rush. Defendant's letter indicates for the first time his intent to seek interlocutory state or federal appellate review before he is sentenced of any adverse ruling on his motion. It is correct that the denial of immunity from prosecution is immediately appealable, Bragg's office wrote. But here, in contrast to defendant's criminal case in D.C., the question of defendant's immunity from prosecution is not presented. The only question now before the court is whether a small subset of the trial evidence was improperly admitted in light of a brand new evidentiary rule that derives from official acts immunity, and if so, whether any error in admitting official acts evidence was harmless. The Supreme Court's recent decision did not consider whether a trial court's ruling on a distinct evidentiary question is immediately appealable, and there are strong reasons why it should not be, the assistant district attorneys wrote. Nonetheless, given the defense's newly stated position, we defer to the court on whether an adjournment is warranted to allow for orderly appellate litigation of that question, or to reduce the risk of a disruptive stay from an appellate court pending consideration of that question. The people are prepared to appear for sentencing on any further date the court sets. Bragg's office also cited how significant public safety and logistical steps by multiple agencies are necessary to prepare for court appearances in this matter. There should be no sentencing in this election interference witch hunt. As mandated by the United States Supreme Court, this case, along with all of the other Harris, Biden hoaxes, should be dismissed, Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chung said in a statement to Fox News Digital on Monday. Blanche and Bove sent their letter to Merchan on Wednesday after the judge rejected the defense's latest request that he step aside from the case. In the letter, Blanche and Bove reiterated the defense argument that the judge has a conflict of interest because his daughter works as a Democratic political consultant, including for Vice President Kamala Harris when she sought the 2020 presidential nomination. Harris is now running against Trump. By adjourning the sentencing until after that election, the court would reduce, even if not eliminate, issues regarding the integrity of any future proceedings, Trump's lawyers wrote. Election day is November 5, but many states allow voters to cast ballots early, with some set to start the process just a few days before or after Trump's scheduled September 18 sentencing date. Merchan, who has said he is confident in his ability to remain fair and impartial, did not immediately rule on the delay request.
A deep dive into the recently released body cam footage of the attempted assassination of former President Trump appears to show the shooting suspect walking on top of a roof just minutes before he managed to fire off his deadly rounds at the campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, last month. The newly unearthed footage sheds further light on the assassination attempt and the seconds leading up to the July 13th shooting. When stabilized and zoomed in, one of the body cam clips released by Butler Township Police Department shows a shadowy figure emerging on top of the American Glass Research, AGR, complex building at 6:08 p.m. The police officer whose body cam captures the figure is walking in a green area on the east side of the AGR complex, near the water tower, when his body camera captures who is believed to be Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, roof hopping and making his way to the southernmost structure of the complex. Another figure, likely a police officer, can be seen walking on the ground in the opposite direction of Crooks and appears unaware that the shooter is on the roof, the footage shows. In the intervening minutes, the police officer can be seen communicating with other officers and then patrolling the adjoining car park. His body cam does not have sound. As the figure on the roof disappears again, the officer's body cam footage strikes 6:09 p.m., meaning Crooks took about 2.5 minutes to set himself up and shoot at Trump and the other attendees, based on timestamps from other police body cam footage. The FBI has previously stated that Crooks accessed the roof of a building by climbing up HVAC equipment and piping. Crooks then traversed multiple rooftops before he found his shooting position on top of a building about 150 yards from where the former president spoke at his rally. Investigators have determined that Crooks purchased a ladder hours prior to the assassination attempt, but he left it at his residence in Bethel Park and did not use the ladder at the rally. No ladder was found at the scene.